Welcome to the 2021 National Youth Science Camp. My name is Jill Cochran, and I'm here today to give you a bit of a history of how we got to be where you are today. Back in 1963, West Virginia was celebrating its centennial, and they put together a lot of groups to plan a lot of programs to celebrate all different ages and all walks of life. The group that was put together to celebrate young people first decided they wanted to hold the Boy Scout Jamboree in West Virginia, but they were about 10 years too late to make that decision. But that idea of a camp stuck in their heads, and so because one of the themes of the centennial was science, they thought science camp. But they wanted to hold that camp on the campus of West Virginia University, with you delegates sitting in lecture halls listening to lectures 6 or 8 hours a day. Luckily for you, there were a pair of WVU professors on that committee. One was my dad, Chuck Cochran, who was a professor of mathematics, and the other was his best friend, Joe Hutchison, who was a professor in Parks and Recreation. The two of them thought the idea of a camp on a campus was a horrible idea. No, they said. We need to hold this camp out in the woods. Use the beauty and the wildness of West Virginia as a laboratory. We could hold it in the Monongahela National Forest. And we'll invite speakers from academia, but also business and government, to come and talk about their passion, about their work out there on the cutting edge of science. And then we can go hiking and caving and rock climbing right outside our front door. So, of course, the committee put the two of them in charge. Dad and Hutch designed a camp that included all of their favorite things to do. A chance to meet and talk with really smart people, a chance to learn about new ideas, and a chance to bring young people together and to honor them for their accomplishments. The delegates for the first National Youth Science Camp in 1963 were all male, just like the Boy Scouts, with 2 from each state, 100 delegates for West Virginia's 100th year. It was held at Camp Pocahontas, a 4-H camp that was originally built back in the 1930s as a civilian conservation corps camp, deep in the middle of the Monongahela National Forest, and not very far from the National Radio Astronomy Observatory in Greenbank. The NYSC of 1963 was supposed to be a one-time thing. But those delegates loved their experience so much that they persuaded the state of West Virginia that the program needed to continue. And so it did. The camp was fully funded by the state of West Virginia until 1983, when a private foundation was created by alumni of the camp in order to create the funding needed to continue the program to this day. Over the years, the lecturers have included Apollo astronaut Neil Armstrong, long before he ever flew into space, General Chuck Yeager, the first man to fly faster than the speed of sound, and Nobel Prize winner John Nash, the subject of the film A Beautiful Mind. And many former delegates have come back to speak as well. IBM's Robert Mercer, who invented the first voice recognition software. He represented New Mexico in 1964. Hewlett-Packard's David Hackelman, who invented the ink for the inkjet printer. He came from Oregon in 1969. Rudy Tanzi, chair of the Cure Alzheimer's Fund's Genome Group and Research Leadership Group. He represented Rhode Island in 1974. Julie Robinson, the chief scientist for the International Space Station, she came from Idaho in 1985. And former CEO of Yahoo, And Google employee number 20, Marissa Mayer, she was from Wisconsin in 1993. There have been a few changes along the way. In the 1960s, the collective name for those who work at the NYSC became staff, S-T-A-P-H, perhaps because of their contagious enthusiasm for the program. In 1975, the first women attended the science camp. In the 1980s, directed studies were added. This allowed a small group of delegates to work with a specialist on some special project, an hour or so a day over 3 or 4 days. Projects like creating holograms or dissecting human hands. The basic program is unchanged in 60 years, though the areas of science that we cover, of course, are changing with the times. But last year, we changed again. In the time of pandemic, it was not safe to hold an in-person science camp. And so we took advantage of technology and had the first virtual National Youth Science Camp. We still had seminars and lectures, directed studies and cabin meetings, held electronically, held remotely. We just haven't quite figured out yet how to go rock climbing or caving electronically. So let me add my welcome to all of the others who have welcomed you this evening. We're glad to have you in the National Youth Science Camp family. Enjoy these next few weeks. Learn much, make new friends, expand your horizons.